Hey there, everybody. Destin Legary here with Paul Tassi. Paul, good to see you again.
Good to be here.
Today we're talking about New World. Paul, let's get right into it. So you and I both have been playing New World. Surprisingly, this is a game where I start it. I don't care about anything that's happening in the story. I don't even listen to any of the dialogue. But for some reason, there's just something about it where I'm like, I kind of like this. It's doing all it to me off the top of my head. And you're the first person I've had a chance to talk to about it. So I'm excited.
Okay.
To me, it's just like being able to swap out your weapons and level up different weapons. It's not doing anything unique that I haven't seen in an MMO before, but for some reason, I'm digging it. And I'm wondering if it's because I'm just hungry for a game where I can make my, as you said off the air, numbers go up, and this is satiating that desire, or is there actually something here? What are your thoughts on New World? I'm level 9. You're twice that right now. You're enjoying cutting down
People
trees.
are twice me too, so
Yeah.
it's the efficiency grind is a whole other level. But for me, I think what it comes down to is what I'm seeing is kind of a pretty wide split here between Amazon. I can't believe I'm even saying that has gotten the really core fundamentals right here on almost every level. Like the UI is gorgeous. Like I never say that about game UIs these days, but like the UI, all the icons, the fonts, like it's so well crafted and it feels so high quality. And then I think just general things like just combat is enjoyable, which is not always the case for an MMO. I agree with you with leveling up the different weapons and going different paths, and like combat feels good. There's the running meme that like just the simple act of chopping down a tree is like the most like viscerally satisfying thing in like the game, which is very strange. And yet I have been chopping trees down for about the last hour now before I recorded the show just to level up my lumberjack skill, whatever it's called. And it's very true. But for me, the other half of this, we can get into this later, is I do wonder how sort of full the game is in terms of meaningful content. I don't know if this is true for you, but the longer I go, the more missions I'm getting where it is almost exclusively like, go to this place, kill 10 zombies, search 5 chests, kill the zombie boss, and come back. And walk back because fast travel is not very accessible. So
Yeah.
And like even like the main story quests are kind of this. So I'm hoping it evolves as time goes on, but I'm starting to see some maybe emptiness up ahead here unless something changes.
Yeah, so here's the concern, and what you're describing is just like every MMO has done this. So as I'm playing, I'm enjoying seeing my numbers go up right now, but I just got the mission where you have to do one of 6 different faction things and then turn it in. And everything's just been teaching me the mechanics. So I'm wondering, like, when am I going to get into the gear score grind? Because right now it's just throwing whatever garbage you have. So do you know the level cap off the top of your head?
60.
It's 60.
Player level 60. Yeah.
So if
I don't
I'm
know
not,
what gear score cap is.
I'm like 9, you're 18. And there's just, even to get on and play, I played 3.3 hours according to Steam. So not even that much. I'm already 9. It's got
the
its
queue counts, by the way.
Oh, really?
For hours played.
Well,
yeah.
then
So I'm
2
at like
hours.
20 or something, which
Yeah, so I tried to sign on today and the queue was like 300. So there's already this detrimental aspect to it. The first question that I had for the show today was, do you think this is going to compete with WoW and Final Fantasy 14? Because Final Fantasy 14 does a lot of the same things this game is doing, but that game is a phenomenal product. What do you think?
well, I mean, WoW has been just on the decline for a while now, and obviously I don't think Blizzard's recent troubles are going to help things. I'm sure it is probably going to just accelerate the decline of that game. Final Fantasy 14 is obviously one of the best turnaround stories in industry history. Like, I have never played Final Fantasy 14, and yet I am probably guessing that like story-wise and mechanics-wise and having years to evolve, it's better than New World. I'm just guessing that. The advantage New World has here is, at least, for me and you, like, we have the ability to jump into an MMO kind of at the ground floor here, which almost never ever happens. Like, that just isn't a thing. So, like, if I wanted to get into Final Fantasy now, like, it might be fun, but it's like, oh, you got to play 280 hours of this base campaign to catch up to where people are now. Whereas at least with New World, we're like jumping into the start. And yeah, people are going to race ahead of us and stuff,
Mhm.
but it does feel better to kind of,
But you're there during those moments when people are
yeah.
still figuring stuff out. So you can be there when like the cool thing happens or the cool gun is discovered or the cool
But will
upgrade
things
path.
happen? That's my question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I haven't seen too many cool things happen yet, but
Mhm.
it does feel fun to play, and I'm enjoying myself. It's just I do wonder how long this will hold my attention compared to, I don't know, even a game like Genshin Impact. Like obviously it's a lot different because it's not an MMO. It is almost exclusively single player, and yet it's a very similar thing. Collect resources, like level up different characters instead of different weapons, maybe. But like that game has just an infinite amount of like gorgeous landscapes, like really cool things to discover and puzzles to solve. Whereas this is like, go kill those 10 zombies, like go chop
Yeah.
down those 500 trees. Like I'm hoping there's more to it. It's just I haven't really kind of discovered that yet. And every new quest I take on is kind of just some variant of the quest I've had before it.
That's my concern also. Like, is this actually going to get meaty and interesting? Because it seems like they have good gameplay, but the concern is if it ends up just being go kill 5 wolves, like I had to kill the pigs, I had to kill the wolves. I'm probably going to have to go chop down trees again to build something. Like they're teaching me all the basics of every MMO I've ever played. But in the back of my head, I'm just like, should I just boot up Final Fantasy 14 and finally finish the Realm Reborn storyline? Because like, should I just be grinding a game that I know has a stellar story that I know just gets better from where I'm at in the game, or should I keep playing New World? And that's what I'm constantly thinking about as I'm playing. But there's also that aspect where nobody's really ahead of me. Like everybody's sort of during this first launch week is sort of figuring stuff out. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who played the beta and they're going to say like, you guys, I know how to do everything. I actually really like coming at this from the perspective of an average consumer who's signing on when the game's publicly available and just playing sort of with everybody else. The cities are like packed with people right now. The Steam numbers for this game are massive. Paul, didn't you tweet out that like 700,000 people or something?
700,000. It's the fourth highest played game on Steam, or no, fifth highest game played on Steam ever.
Yeah,
In terms of total concurrent players, that's pretty insane for a brand new IP like this that is made by, again, Amazon.
yeah.
So
And that's pretty awesome. But like the story so far is your ship crashed. Take the captain's stuff and go to the town and then do all the random stuff. And like, I have no connection with the world really. I'm just enjoying leveling and powering up. So it's got that going for it, but I'm worried
it's such a dichotomy because like I am enjoying the numbers go up game so much. Like few other games I've seen do the base numbers go up game so well. Like it is so satisfying when I just hit level 50 in lumberjacking and I can cut down the big trees now. I'm so happy that happened. And yet I can't tell you a single thing that has happened since the shipwreck. Like every story aspect of this is like in the tiniest of dialogue segments or in these little journals. And I can't, there are no characters. They're just NPCs that are just giving you quests. I have not seen a cutscene. I don't even know what the main story quest is. Like I was doing what I thought was the main story quest, and then it sort of dead ended at like level up your faction, I think was one of the things, or level yourself up within your faction, and that's just going to take a long time. And then I did some other half of a quest, and then it's like I got to collect something that I got to be level 30 harvesting to collect, and I'm like, well, okay, like I guess I got to go do side quests or something. So it's very, I'm a little confused as to what I'm supposed to be doing, but like I don't really care. Like since there is no story, I don't really care about chasing after the main storyline. So I'm just kind of doing whatever I want. I'm like, if I want to do some side quests right now, I'll do that. If I want to farm trees for 45 minutes, I'm gonna do that, and I'm fine with that for now. It's just I don't know if I'll be doing this a month from now still. Maybe it's possible, but it is the longer this goes, the more I feel like I'm still kind of in these introductory quests, and that's, I don't know, not the most reassuring feeling in terms of hoping to find a game with more depth here. But again, this is still the starter zones and stuff, so who knows how it'll evolve from here, but yeah.
Here's the big benefit to New World. There's no subscription fee. So if you start talking about like Final Fantasy 11 has a subscription fee, Final Fantasy 14 has a subscription fee. This is a game you buy, you play. They're going to be releasing more content for it. I have to imagine this
Oh, yeah.
has to be a huge success for Amazon. And well, one of the ironic things that people talked about was the fact that Amazon owns the servers, and their game that uses those servers is getting hammered. Like there's 300 player queues. So one thing I did want to discuss is just
300 is
like,
low. You're lucky if you got 300.
yeah, I picked a server that some of my friends were on, and I ended up
Yeah.
getting lucky. But we're in evening hours now, so who knows what it's going to be, right?
Mhm.
But I don't think that any of us can ever expect any game to launch without server issues if Amazon's own products are having server issues. And I've seen that sort of sentiment passed around. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I will say, so I know Amazon is like the company that owns every server, and yet they've also never launched a game like this. Like, just
Mhm.
because you have servers that can support Amazon.com doesn't mean you're going to like understand the login queues for an MMO. Like, I feel like that's kind of a bit apples and
Reductive. Yeah.
oranges. And I mean, we haven't seen any like really extended server downtime. We have seen these long queues and stuff, but it's not like, Diablo Era 37, like the game's offline for 4 days at launch. Like, people can play it. It's just these queues have been annoying. And like, I had a thing last night where I would wait through an 800 person queue for 3 hours and then get a connection error once I got to like number one. And it's
God.
like, so that's irritating, but I have to imagine that isn't going to last forever. And if anyone knows how to adapt to this quickly, I would imagine it's Amazon. It's just, I don't think it's like a golden ticket that because they're Amazon, they were going to like 100% get this right from the start.
Yeah. Hopefully. So the real question is, and we sort of alluded to it already, but does this have staying power, or is it going to peter out? And I've played a lot of MMOs, but you're right. And you sort of talked about when you're chopping down wood and getting to level 50, there's all these different things you can do. And it's just because there's no subscription fee, you don't really have any penalty for not signing on for a while or whatever. There's always going to be stuff for you to be doing and working towards in the game. I'm having a really good time. Like every time I try out a new weapon, I level it up a little bit. Then I'm like, oh, I got a new weapon. I want to try out this other one. And I know that's not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to like pick one and stick with it. But I haven't.
Pick like two. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even have a gun yet that I like. And I see people rocking around with guns that heal people. And I'm like, oh,
I don't know where people are getting all these. Like, I still don't have anything above a green weapons.
yeah, there's all this like, there's because I see the other players and the armor that they're wearing and the things that I could be working towards and getting towards. That's exciting to me as a new player and as somebody trying to figure out this new leveling mechanic.
Let me interject here, though. So what I've noticed is you see a lot of people with cool armor and cool weapons, except the game's monetization for this whole game, because there's no subscription, is cosmetics.
Mm-hmm.
So a ton of the cool armor and cool weapons you're seeing are just cosmetic, like transmog, essentially. Because I don't know if you've even visited the store, but there is a whole store that sells like a full, armor look for your character. I don't think it's like a physical object you wear. I don't think they're selling power, but like you can like reskin your battle axe to look like this much cooler battle axe, and like it's kind of weird. Like it's just sort of strange for this genre in that it, we could debate Destiny and its transmog drama and stuff, but like a lot of what kind of makes these games, makes the loot pursuit worthwhile is like looking awesome, looking extremely cool, and like getting all this stuff. And then if all the cool stuff we're seeing now is transmog, which I have to believe it is, because these aren't like, no one's max level that I'm hanging around. These are like level 20 people wearing like, dragon bone armor or something, and that's just transmog. It's from the store. So I'm curious, what do you think of that as like a monetization strategy? Where on like the one hand it's cosmetic, on the other hand it does seem to like kind of negate a pretty key part of this genre to a certain extent.
Well, Paul, I'm really cheap. I don't know if you know that, but I try and not spend money. Like I haven't spent anything in Destiny 2. I've never bought silver in Destiny 2.
That's insane.
So
that is truly insane.
Yeah, and I have like 2,000 hours in that game, but I buy everything with Bright Dust because I'm constantly showered in Bright Dust, and I've gotten anything that I ever wanted. I have been tempted, but I won't even spend the 1,000 silver that they gave me because I don't like this sort of mechanic. But inversely in a game like this, where they have your flat cost for buying it, and then the way they monetize and support the server costs and everything is by the store. That's a really tough question for me to answer, and honestly, I don't have a great one for you. I still don't like this idea that game design becomes centered around pushing people to buy cosmetics. And if there's some way to earn it in game, I'll do it that way every time. Because I would rather play and just earn what I earn and put it on than support a system that just generally has been created because of the weird state of game publishing and the demand to
Nobody wants
increase
to
your
pay a
profit
subscription.
margins, right? Like,
I mean, my thought here is like maybe once you get to max level, presumably there are really cool armor sets and weapons that
of
you find
course.
in the world. So
Mhm.
maybe this will kind of just turn into Eververse selling ornaments, that kind of thing in the future. I guess it's just so weird right now because everyone is so low level, but they're like playing dress up to look like high level characters with these skins and stuff. It's just very unusual to see in the genre. Like I can't really even think of another game that has done something similar where it's like dressing up lower level characters to look like they're max level or something. So I'm just curious to see how it evolves when time goes on. Again, like I have to assume that there will be cool armor sets and things and weapons when we get to higher levels. It's just a little strange to see right now, I think.
Well, what's your thought on it? Do you like the idea that that's how they're monetizing the game through cosmetics?
Not really. Like it's tough though, because like the alternative is no. I probably wouldn't rather pay a subscription, and I probably wouldn't have even started the game if it was a subscription based game. So I guess you have to give a little leeway. Like they're selling other things like dye. Let me actually look real quick here. I can pull up the
Yeah, I'm
store.
actually Googling. I want to see how much the base game
So
costs.
there's consumables, which are just all dyes. There are emotes. No one really complains about selling emotes.
Paul, this is a
Armor
$40 game.
armor skins, weapon skins, housing items. Housing items I could understand. This is 23,000 credits for sorry, marks of fortune. Which all right? How much are these? Okay, so 23,000 is $20. So for $20, you can completely deck out your house in like pirate shit. Sorry, I'm not supposed to run your channel, but
That's fine. That's fine.
this okay. So like that to me, the housing stuff that seems okay because like that's just
Mhm.
kind of decorative stuff in your house. It's just the weapon and armor skins are a little weird to me. So like it's $10 to make your sledgehammer look like ancient Viking God of War rune thing, and like it doesn't change the weapon; it's just a skin for it, and yet it makes it look like a level 60 weapon or something. So that's just it's unusual in the sense that I haven't really seen it before. I guess again, once we're all not walking around in like base level gear, like maybe it won't be as big of a deal if you just kind of want an alternate look. So maybe it's just kind of coming across as strange to me now when it won't be as big of a deal later.
Well, I'm looking right now. The game's $40. That's a really low barrier to entry for what is
It
going to
is,
be
yeah, you're
like
right.
let's say on the low end, this is a 200-hour MMORPG. I
Uh-huh.
highly doubt I'm ever anywhere close to how many hours people will actually spend in this product. But I think my main criticism right now is I have no connection or care whatsoever to the story, to the point like people start saying stuff and I'm like, well, you didn't give me a kernel that was good enough to go down the rabbit hole, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Like you crash on a ship, like who cares about your ship captain? Like I don't care about anything in this world
Is there a
at
captain?
all.
Isn't that the guy we killed?
Yeah, there's a captain, you kill him. Like that's the
The only
first
guy
thing you
I
do in
know
the
is the
game.
guy with the metal face and the
Yeah,
conquistador hat,
that's
and like
him.
who's like on the cover.
Yeah.
I thought he's dead. I don't know. I mean, this is devoid of story on a level I've rarely seen in
Yeah.
games, at least so far. I mean, even if I think you pay attention to every single line of dialogue, it's just kind of nonsense. Like I
Mhm.
haven't seen anything I would call a memorable quest or like memorable interaction with a character.
Yeah,
I guess
it's
it's really leaning on like okay, the real story is going to be told with you and your friends and the faction wars and the world server wars and whatever. Like it seems like this game is really heavily geared for kind of end game PvP stuff, which may work to its benefit. It may not, but that is I think where they kind of have most of their eggs in that basket. So uh, that is maybe why they're not leaning on story really at all. But it is like completely absent of story on almost every level from what I've seen here so far.
I was trying to find out what the deluxe edition has that you would pay the 10 extra dollars for. The It looks like if you're just playing digital, it's only on Steam, right? Like so The most you could pay is $49.99 right now for the digital edition, which comes with a Woodsman armor skin, Woodsman hatchet skin, Mastiff house pet, rock paper scissors
Oh,
emote
okay.
set, and New World digital art book. And like, sure, if you want to get that version, but the base version's more than like if you just want to check it out.
It's
I
just,
gotta
I
say
mean,
the price
it's
point's
usual
right.
bundle.
The
The
price
$40
point's
price
right.
point is a good call. I mean,
Yeah.
if this was Sony, it'd be $70. But like, I think that was the right move, and that made this a no-brainer for me.
Mhm.
$40, no subscription, not selling power, no loot boxes, no gotcha, anything. It's a good model. Like I don't know how much of a it would
Sustain.
have to be make some really attractive cosmetics to generate like serious money for Amazon, but I don't know. It's Amazon. Like who like what it would have to generate like $1 trillion to even like get them to notice. So.
700,000 players. Remember when Destiny sold like one emote that basically gave them $1 million or
Yeah,
millions
I
of
mean,
dollars?
I'm
So
just saying in the context of being Amazon, the company, it's
mhm.
like nothing this game does really matters
Yeah,
to their bottom line. So
yeah. It's gonna be really interesting to see what happens. So our first impressions, I've played for like 2 days. I haven't played a ton. I will likely continue playing. So Paul, do you think you're likely to continue playing? And at what point do you think you might consider stopping? Because right now it's doing a lot right to keep me going.
I am likely to continue playing. If I keep going and I'm get to like level 30, level 40, and like these quests are not changing and they are not getting any more interesting,
Mhm.
I don't know if this is going to be worth investing in the long run. I'm going to see if I can maybe try to get into PvP because that seems like it has to be at least a little more dynamic than the PvE stuff so far. I could see myself like just getting to pretty high tiers in the numbers go up of I hit 200 lumberjacking, and then I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm done, like
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, I think it helps that I know we're heading into the fall, but there aren't like a ton of fall releases that are gonna like command all of my time. Like I limit my focus to a very select few games,
Forza and
so I
Halo.
think I will have time for this. What do you say, Forza?
Forza and Halo, right? Like those are the two.
Halo, I mean, Halo is even the main one. Like, I'm not
Mhm.
even that much of a racing person. Like, I'll check out Forza, but I doubt I'm going to be playing Forza for like 100 hours or
Yeah.
something. So, Far Cry, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Halo are probably the ones that I'm most curious about. Call of Duty and Battlefield, so and so. But like those ones, but like Far Cry and Guardians, I can be done with pretty quick. And then Halo is looking promising, so that might be. But that's all the way in December, so
Yeah.
I have some time.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a really smart time to launch. There's really nothing competing with it, at least for the next few weeks. So, like, I think New World is the thing people will be talking about for at least the next 2 weeks, or when until the Battlefield open beta happens, which is early October. So it's got everybody's mind share right now. I think people will be playing it. I think the cost to entry is very low. So, like, if you're looking for an MMO, there's really not too much, there's not enough negative to say don't check it out, because even if you play for 10 hours, that's worth $40, you know? So like,
Yeah.
I'm surprised I'm saying that. I honestly, Paul, I kind of wrote this one off. I had no expectations for it. I didn't even think I was going to play it. Then I saw everybody talking about it. I'm like, all right, I'll check it out. I
I
was,
assumed it was going to bomb because
yeah.
Amazon has canceled like 6 games and released like 2 terrible games. And this didn't really look good, honestly. And
Mhm.
then they had to like rework it a bunch of times, got delayed a bunch of times. It wasn't until they had some of the early tests where people were like, no, this is actually like legitimately good somehow. And I'm
Mhm.
like, all right, I didn't play the early test, but it was enough to get me. I wasn't even sure I would play this up until a couple days ago, like right before. I'm like, all right, forget it. Destiny's not doing that much right now. I guess I'll try it out.
Yeah.
And here we are. So for the foreseeable future, I will be farming wolves and ore and whatever.
Yeah, time will tell if it has staying power. If you're playing Amazon's New World, let us know what you're thinking about in the comments below. But we would love to hear what you're thinking about the game and if you're enjoying it, if you're not. And yeah, also, I created an email for the channel. So if you want to email stuff that you would like to see Paul and I discuss, you can do so, thedestinchannel@gmail.com. Check it out. We're going to get out of here. So stick around for the outro. Go subscribe to Paul. Paul, where do people see your stuff?
At Paul Tassi on Twitter, Paul Tassi on YouTube. I did make a New World video today, and I will probably make a few more this week, depending on how things go. So
Yeah. Didn't somebody say like, why are you writing about New World? And you were like, it's the #1 search term in the world. Right. So
that was actually about Squid Game, but
Squid
this
Game,
is also
Squid
why
Game.
I'm this is also why I'm covering New World, because I knew it was going to be so popular, and I'm like, I got to write some stuff about it or do some videos. So
Yeah.
here we are.
Well, you're
Similar
already
principle.
yeah, right. Well, you're already in the right place if you want to see my stuff. Thank you for subscribing. If you want to become a member, memberships are turned on. I'm going to get out of here. We'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.